everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. With that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsors. Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. Ronald Records. From indie gems to classic hits, discover the heart of local music. With live shows all the time, up close and personal, and regular releases on their in-house label. Ronald Records. Supporting the community, one track at a time. All right, thank you all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guests.
Hey, this is Justin.
And I'm Tanner, and we are
The Desert Sons.
Hello.
How's it going?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Dude, thank you for having us, man.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about, let's introduce yourselves individually. Tell us a little bit about, who you are, where you're from, what you do. Give us that, Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
Sure. Go first. Yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah, my name's Tanner. I picked up music when I was 14-ish. Got started in the church band back in our hometown. Come from a small-ish town in Arizona called Lake Havasu City. And yeah, we've just been, it's been a lot of time making music and going through different levels of success with different projects and really trying to put ourselves out there.
Oh, yeah. And then what do you do? I guess tell us a little bit about who you are.
Well, dang, this is hard.
A loaded question.
I guess I play guitar, man. Yeah, like Tanner said, we're from Lake Havasu, Arizona. I started with music when I was about 16, 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
More or less just starting out doing little projects with my friends in the garage, just trying to get my chops and, play guitar, drums, a little bit of everything until kind of figured out that, this is something that I really love to do.
Yeah. And did both of you grow up with any kind of music in your household, or are you the first generations of musicians?
My granddad played guitar in a band back in the 50s.
Oh, okay.
But no one else was really musical. My mom loves music.
Gotcha.
My mom was really into she was really into country music and a lot of 90s alternative music kind of vibe. So I think her kind of love of music really played into how much
how much you appreciate it. Yeah.
And
I mean, it sounds like she wasn't stopping you from doing it.
No, not at all. She encouraged it, honestly. She loved the fact that I loved music and really, I guess, more or less, she didn't push me, but she gave me all the tools. She gave me the access to the garage and was play all day, play all night, whatever you want to do, man.
Oh, yeah. Man, that goes a long way for sure.
Absolutely.
And what about you?
Yeah, I come from a family of music appreciators, but I'm the first to actually pick up an instrument.
Okay.
Yeah, it was cool. My grandparents got me a guitar when I was first, second grade because they didn't like that I was playing with action figures. So they were like, you need to do something
Weird
else.
take, but I can respect that.
And then, I didn't really touch it for a long time until way later. And when I actually got into music and I, discovering his family, we listened to a lot of country, a lot of rock and roll, and so that was just kind of the product of our environment, and it was just a great way to express myself. I needed something to do after school.
Yeah.
And
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. I was not a sports kid growing up.
No, me either.
Yeah, I feel you on that for sure. Now, before we get into more of like the band as a unit, I do have a couple foundation questions I like to check in with everybody on.
Yeah,
and this first one is one we ask early, it's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you each bought with your own money?
Yes, that's a good question. Incubus Make Yourself.
Okay.
Was the first album I bought with my own money.
Hell yeah.
It was like a multimedia store that we had. You remember Hastings Entertainment? Did they have those up here?
No, I mean, I didn't grow up here, so I'm not sure.
They had them in Arizona. It was an Arizona thing maybe, but they sold CDs, and I remember my older brother, he had that album, and I just remember like sitting in his room for hours on end listening to that, and I was just like, I have to get my own copy of this, and that was just okay. That was it. I bought that, and I think I got like a CD player that Christmas or something like that, and it was crazy from there. I ended up with a huge CD collection, but that was the one that kicked it off. Yeah,
I dig that. God, I miss the binders.
Dude, I still have all of mine too. I got like 3 or 4 binders.
Hell yeah.
Damn.
Hell yeah. A buddy of mine used to roll around with like 2 in his car at all time. He was just like, what do you want to listen to?
A collection.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God, we're going to 7-Eleven. It's like 6 minutes down the road. What do you already have in here?
I love that. Yeah, we had my second car that I had, it had a 6-disc changer in there, so I thought I was a shit, man. I was like, yes, this rocks.
Yep.
Dude, I could put no MP3 players or anything, so I was like, this is sick, dude.
Man, and I'm sorry. Well, I'll let you get to your answer in just a second.
Guys, take your time.
But for Christmas one year, and this was like right before I moved up here, a buddy of mine bought me a Billy Idol CD because big Billy fan. You know what I mean? Like he's the original Billy. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
But he bought me the CD, and I was just about to move. Like I knew I was moving in like a month, and I was like, oh, perfect. Like as a bit, which I really enjoy. I was like, I'm gonna keep this in my car. It's gonna be the only CD in there. And so I move up here. I go to get a car. I get a car. I'm like, yes. I grab the CD. I go to put it in there, and there is no CD spot because it was in 2016. I bought in 2016.
That's hilarious.
And I was just like, no, and my whole world collapsed around me as I knew I would never be able to commit to this bit.
That's so funny, dude.
Yeah. So that's just a little fun bit about me, but getting back into it, what about you?
Oh, dude, my first album that I got actually at that same store, Hastings, I picked up, I discovered this band off of a YouTube ad, and I was just so enamored by it. And at this point, streaming had already come out, but I knew, I was like, I need to go buy this album. I need to go support the band directly. And that album was Sick and Disgusting by Beartooth.
Whoa.
It was
okay.
It really kind of brought me into a whole new realm of music. And I mean, it's so good.
Yeah.
It was a great album.
The second album I bought was Aggressive by Beartooth. Like I love that shit so much. Like
it's a bit of a theme happening here. Hell yeah. No, that is a super shout out YouTube ads one time, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. And then what was one of the first live shows you each went to that was like specifically one you wanted to go to? So like you saw what was happening, you got the tickets, you went to it.
Yeah. That's a little bit of a hard. I'll answer this with like 2 answers. First concert I ever went to was Foreigner.
Okay,
so that was
damn.
Sick. Yeah, it was really sick. It was Def Leppard, Foreigner, and Styx. Yeah.
Well, we're going home now. Yeah. Nothing's gonna top that answer.
No, it was an amazing concert. It was in Vegas. It was dope. But the first concert I ever straight up bought a ticket for was it was Slightly Stupid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's good.
So that was, I was in high school, and I was just like, I loved Slightly Stupid. My siblings listened to them, and I was super, super into them. So I was just like, they were rolling through Phoenix, and I was like, dude, I got to go to the show. And I've seen them so many times now. Can't count, but
would you say it's Slightly Stupid? How many times you've seen them?
Yeah.
All right, sorry, that's my one bad joke for the week. Getting it done early. All right, but that is rad.
Yeah, but that totally like created a legacy for me, honestly, because like for like the next maybe 7 or 8 years, I bought a ticket to go see them at least once every year, and we ended up we go to like their or we have gone to there. They have a big festival they throw in Mexico. So we've gone down there a couple times.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. Super sick. Yeah.
Well, Slightly Stupid, if you're watching and you ever want to come be on the show,
Yeah.
you're welcome anytime. Hell yeah. And then what about you?
Yeah, my first show that I actually bought tickets to was some local festival. It was like 10 metal bands. They called it Havasu Friends Fest, and it was a cool little thing that it really introduced me into the world of DIY music and being able to do this stuff yourself. But if my first recognizable concert that I went and bought tickets for was again a Beartooth concert.
Okay, man, really super fan. I was gonna say
I was really obsessed with them at a point in my life, but it was the Under Oath and Bring Me the Horizon tour. So
okay,
it was
What year was that?
That was 2017 or late 2016.
I don't even remember when you went to that.
I think I remember that tour.
It was incredible. It was the first time I had seen Bring Me the Horizon does this all the time now, and a lot of artists do this now, but it was the first time I had seen a whole stage setup being a screen.
Yeah.
And that performance and that presentation, that's now what I like. That's like end game goal.
Yeah.
I want to perform in front of a giant fucking screen.
Giant screen.
Hell yeah. Well, I dig that. That's man. God, but that was a really good show.
It was good. It was, Beartooth opened it up and it was super raw.
I assume that Bring Me the Horizon and Under Oath weren't opening,
Yeah, of course, right? But they brought this raw energy. People were just kicking the hell out of each other in the pit. And then Under Oath did an awesome job. And then, that's the Spirit album that really popped off when they were doing that tour. And, I get there's a lot of Bring Me the Horizon elitists that it's if it's Suicide Season or nothing.
Yeah.
But that was
that was a sick album.
It was a sick album.
I love that album.
They did such a good job on everything about it. I mean,
they are good. You know what I mean, that's what it comes down to. Regardless of what era you appreciate them for, they are talented, and they've been doing it for so long.
Yeah, they wouldn't
be
around this long if they weren't
exactly
some type of worthy.
Exactly. And I think after a certain point in time, it's the bands start performing for audiences that don't even exist in the purview of the people that they started with. You know what I mean? Touring in other countries, you have to be doing different approaches. There's certain things that have to kind of cross over into other realms as far as availability for playability. There's so many variables that can go into being a worldwide performing band.
Absolutely.
That just kind of exist outside of the general realm of of course that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, they would not have been around for this long and still doing it,
of course,
if they hadn't.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, now I am curious to know, how did you two meet?
Oh, that's a great question. Tanner, you want to answer that? Or
Yeah. So when I was working, I was 17. My dad was the general manager of this company, and there were 4 or 5 other musicians that happened to work there as well. And so for a company picnic type thing, he pulled us all into his office and he's like, "Hey, I want you guys to kind of form together a thing." And I mean, I was, again, 17. All these people are older than me, and I'm sure they all saw it for what it was, which was the boss's kid, wanting to play music with people. And so I had spent some time with them, but one of the guys from that band was our mutual friend. And one night I'm having a rough night, and there's a spot back home that we'd go to so there's a little island in that town. And I went to the far west point, and I would just listen to the boats go by. And, anyone who's familiar with Havasu, shout out the lighthouse. But I got a text from our mutual friend, and he said, "Hey, you still interested in a band?" And I was like, "Yeah, duh." He said, "Hit up Justin Marshall." And the next day, hit him up, and I was like, "What do you want me to do? What do you want me to know?" And he said, "Your Love" by The Outfield and "Don't Stop Believing" by Journey. And I knew both of those that day. I was, and at that point I had been, band practice for me was me bringing my big combo 2x12 from garage to garage, and then hanging out with two people who were like, we're vocalists, and I'm like, okay,
like
we're not,
two of you,
and we're not like
one of you play bass at least,
and we're not learning anything because there's, we're just sitting around in a garage and talking. So this like when I came in and I saw people with instruments and actually knowing how to play them, I knew that I was in the right spot, and that
you went and saw him tuning. You were like,
yeah,
finally.
honestly, the bar was so low at that point. I was like, you can play a chord? Let's go.
Tanner kind of had the benefit, though. I had played in a cover band, like a pretty successful cover band before that. So like I was starting a new project, and that's why I had hit him up. I was like, hey, I need someone to play bass. So I hit him up, and it was a 80s hair metal cover band. And I don't, we can really get into that. It's crazy. But yeah, I had him learn those songs, and he came in and he killed it. And we were like, yeah, dude, like we jived, like our personalities jived really well. And I just knew, I was like, yeah, dude, this guy, he's my dude. So yeah, we've been together ever since.
Long time. That's it'll be like 9 years in October.
Oh damn.
And we used to just chill afterward. He would beat me at Mortal Kombat a bunch.
Yeah, lots of Mortal Kombat in those.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were good times though. Like just that whole era of both of our lives. A lot of growth though. Like
I mean, 9 years is a long. Yeah, it's almost a decade.
Yeah. But yeah, just like looking back, I was just like, I go through my photos on my phone all the time, and I was just like looking at photos the other day. I'm just like, geez, dude, it's crazy how far we've come, and just like all the little EPs that we've cut, together, and just like listening to those, I'm like, that's nuts, dude. How just even like 5 years, with 5 years, it makes a huge difference. And
we're a completely different band 5 years ago.
Yeah. Hell yeah, I dig that. And then I assume you both moved out here at the same time?
We did, yeah.
When and what brought you out here?
Can I talk about this one?
You want me to talk about that one too? So I'm not going to mention the name of the band, but we were in a reggae band.
No, you can mention the name, why not?
You don't have to. Okay. Yeah.
It's all good. All right. It's not super important. But Havasu is a small town, town, and the nearest town to it's about 40 minutes away. Oof. So, the ecosystem out there is very isolated.
Yeah.
And one of our members had experience living, he grew up in Washington. He had experience living in Portland before he moved down to Havasu. And he kind of led the charge of moving us up here. And it was a great experience. We moved out here December of 2019.
Oh no!
Yeah, you know exactly where this is going.
Y'all are not the first ones to say that on this show, and you're gonna get the same. Oh no!
Yeah, man. So it was really cool to be out here for about 4 months and really see like the first time I experienced Christmas at Lloyd Center. Changed my life.
Oh yeah,
I didn't realize.
Changed my life.
Like weirdly enough,
so funny.
I started believing in Santa again, you guys.
You'll never believe it was
real. But it was so cool to see how lively a city could be. Because
we're not city slickers.
No, I got you.
Everything in Havasu shuts down at 9 p.m. unless it's a bar, and I was 20 at the time, so there wasn't a lot of options for me.
Yeah.
So we got out here and spent some time. Obviously, COVID happened, so we just kind of got our bearings and really took our time. We tried to do our best for a couple years after that, but things got in the way, and it happens. And then, the moment he asked me, hey, you want to do music again? It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. We took like a little hiatus. Like I had been writing actually that whole time. Like we both were writing during that time. And then, like about a year and a half ago, Tanner hit me up and he was like, hey, I think I want to start doing some solo gigs. I was like, oh, that's funny. Cause I was thinking about doing that too. So I was like, hey, you want to just rehearse together a little bit? He's like, yeah. So, and then, we were like, yeah, let's start a band again, dude. That's cool.
Hell yeah.
So that's kind of where we evolved from.
Yeah.
Well, I dig that.
Yeah.
That's cool. And it's nice that, like, did you guys still, like, interact as humans?
Yeah,
even when you weren't? Okay.
This is my guy. Like,
Cool.
this guy is
we
my
still,
number one.
we still hung out like all the time.
Yeah.
You know, so it wasn't like skipping a beat. We just didn't like, I don't know, like I think that both of us were like burnt out from playing like just in a band dynamic, you know, like you know how that can be, you know, it's just like,
oh boy,
you got to deal with all the other people. And so it's just like, I just want a minute to breathe kind of thing. And then I don't know, like it's definitely like a part of both of us. Like, so we're just like, yeah, man, like that's just something that we both really miss. But this time it's like, you know, we kind of, well, that's why we're still a two piece, you know, because we're just like, we're going to do this like on our own terms. And like him and I, like our like band culture mixed with like just kind of like our dynamic is very similar, and like our writing styles are very similar. So just everything kind of jives with us. So it's kind of like, I don't know, just like secondhand nature, just to walk into a studio and bang out a song kind of thing.
This is the easiest project that
it's very
I've been a part of, to just roll in, like, you know, we get started and it's like, even when we're writing, it's like, you like that? Yeah. You like that? Not really. Change it.
Yeah.
Like, and it's super, you know, we're not
there's never like hurt feelings or anything.
No, totally. Well, we'll be talking about that part in a little bit.
Okay.
There's a question for that. But let's go ahead and let's get on into more of y'all in the present day. We are going to get a super easy one out of the way first, though.
Yeah.
How'd you pick the name?
Oh, that's a good one.
So when I pitched it to him, I mean, this was in the moment where we were both working on kind of our solo things. And so we both had our own names for what we wanted to be.
I'm curious to know what those were too.
Oh yeah, we'll drop them.
Yeah.
So, you know, this was actually kind of pitched as more of a side project to do in our spare time while having our own things that we really spend time working on. And so I was like, hey man, what do you think about the Desert Sons? And he's like, I really like that. And then the next week we came back to meet up and he's like, what do you say about, I'm like, yeah, let's
yeah, what do you think about
let's just smash all the shit that we've been doing together. And it's been great, because I think, you know, a lot of our songs have very different vibes from each other, and it does kind of showcase a little bit of versatility in our writing, our playing.
Well, that's kind of the interesting thing about like we're like the current, like our current like beginning era of this project. So like those songs that you hear in like our EP, like those were actually written like separately for separate projects. So like Tanner had his and I had mine, and we were like, hey, you know, I was just like starting to produce. So I was like, hey, let me record the songs that you made. And so I did, and then I recorded my songs. I was like, you know what, like these like sound pretty good together, honestly. And he was like, yeah, dude. So it kind of was funny how it worked out like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
By accident.
What was the name of the project you wanted to do?
I was going to call it Sour Dime.
That's right.
It was supposed to be like a punk reggae type thing. You know, I've been listening to ska for a long time now. That's a big part of my life. And so, yeah, it just felt right, kind of weedy, but at the same time, it was, you know, candy.
Yeah.
You know, it makes me think of different things, and thought it was a cool vibe.
The funny thing about the Sour Dime name too is Tanner, a long time ago, this was like probably 8 or 9 years ago. Tanner, we had gone through like 6 iterations of a band name when we were starting that 80s metal band. And we had like that project died. Then we're like, okay, we're going to do another one. So we do another one. And then Tanner, I was like, I think I want to do a reggae band this time. And Tanner's like, what do you think about Sour Dime? And then we were playing with another guy who, he was like, I don't like it.
I hate it.
So we were like, all right.
Stuck it in the back pocket.
So yeah, that one was like kind of a throwback. I remember when you told me that, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that name.
Hell yeah.
That's funny.
Well, I mean, the Desert Sons is definitely a cool name.
Thank you.
As a good, I mean, also it applies well because, like, you know, from Arizona.
Yeah.
See, if I had only heard it and not seen it, I would have thought like SUN, like multiple sons. And I was like, are you guys Star Wars fans?
A little bit.
But once you see it written, you're like, oh, it's just two guys from the desert. Got it.
Side project is a Star Wars based rock band based on specifically Tatooine.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Tatooine nights and Hoth days.
Yeah.
Wait, that actually is that a thing?
No.
Well, it can be.
Cut this.
I'm memeing.
Hell yeah. And then let's dig into your writing process a little bit.
Sure.
And we're going to kind of break it up into chunks, but we're going to start right at the beginning. So when it comes to getting a track started, and it sounds like you both do writing on your own time.
Yeah.
Is it just one of those things where it's like you each bring in an idea and you're like, I have this idea, or like do you like to sit down and like build a song from the start together?
Both ways, actually. Like
Different ways.
I think that like most recently, like we're working on a new EP right now, and so like this whole EP, we've sat down and like crafted all of these songs together, and then the singles that we put out this past year, we did a lot of kind of like separate writing, but then like kind of bringing those separate writing styles together for many of those. So I think it kind of goes back and forth. I think like our writing process is slightly different though, because like I said, like our dynamic just as like a band and like as I don't know, really close friends.
Yeah.
Like we have like a studio set up, and so like we just kind of sit in there and we'll just like literally like play with all of the different effects that we have, or like throw a crazy drum beat on there and just like try to write something to that, or like, Tanner will be like, dude, I was messing around with this bass line, like let's write something to this. So
yeah, the start of a song can really come in many different ways for us. Most popularly, I think all of our songs have started mostly on an acoustic guitar and just singing along to whatever chord progression we're playing with at that time. But yeah, I've written songs. I've written full songs of just lyrics that I still need to put
no music
chords to. But then I've also, love starting with a bass line sometimes. I think that's a cool way to get into it. And it is, we really take advantage of as many songwriting methods as we can, because, why limit yourself?
Yeah, especially in the modern day where you can kind of do anything with everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It is like I like it. I like to describe it as like a hybrid, hybrid system. But I think that like most commonly, it seems like at least recently, I think that our writing process has been more streamlined with being able to just like sit down and like hash a song out start to finish. And that seems to be like we've been pretty successful.
We've been flying through these recordings. We started in November.
Yeah, we got 3 songs like completely demoed out already.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Hell yeah. We're actually going to play them for you right now. And then once you guys get a track flushed out, like you've gotten it to where it's like, this is the beginning, this is the middle, this is the end, you're ready to start practicing it and such. How long does it usually take you guys to feel comfortable enough to perform a track?
Gosh, sometimes we just go in.
Yeah. Sometimes right away, yeah.
A lot of the time we're like tweaking different melodies and things like that while we're performing them. He's a great coach. He's been doing this so much longer than I have been. So whenever I'm on the microphone, he's like, try something like this. And his foresight is so impressive, because I'll be like, oh, that kind of sounds, bland almost. And then he'll be like, just wait. And then I'll come back the next week and he'll have a whole harmony like laid out for it. And it sounds incredible. So, yeah.
I think that, we typically like will like right now there's one song that we're working on that we wrote out, we already recorded it, and we're kind of just going back to refine it. But we play as an acoustic duo, but we record as a full band.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of finding like where the most impactful parts of like the recording are, trying to translate that into like a duo acoustic.
Yeah.
And so I think that's more of like the challenge. But, I think like the most recent one that we've done, I think we've practiced it 3 times and it's already like
sounding pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. So.
I dig that.
Yeah.
And then I know we already kind of touched on this, so I'm going to ask the question, but we can't kind of breeze through it. But when it comes to like creative differences, how do y'all go about hashing that out? I mean, because I know you kind of said you were just like, is it yes or no? But like when it, like if there's something where like you really want it in the track, like how do you just kind of bring that to the table?
We have had an impasse maybe like twice.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe 3 times, really. But like we've kind of made an agreement that like if it's something that you feel so passionate about and you put your foot down and you say, no, I don't want this.
Mm-hmm.
We've tried everything with it. I don't like it. I don't want it. It's the responsibility of the other person to say, okay, that's fine.
I think it really does go along with who feels the strongest about it, because a lot of times, you know, if I can go either way with it, I'd rather just go with the way that makes them happier.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I mean, it generally doesn't really happen. I think we had one song where we just couldn't get it together.
Yeah.
You know, we were just like, we were in the middle of writing it. It was pretty much already written, but like we were sitting down, like just like kind of going through the process of like, how are we going to make this work, right? Like wrote it, how are we going to translate this into recording? And Tanner was like, honestly, I just don't like this song. And I was like, what? You know? And he was like, I really don't like it. I think that we should reconsider like even doing this one. And I'm just like, you know, it took me maybe a few minutes to get past my, you know, like my ego or whatever.
Yeah.
But you know, eventually we were just like, and then the next week
we wrote a way better song.
And we did write a way better song.
So,
but and the next week we came back and everything's good.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, very diplomatic.
Yeah.
I guess it helps that each of you are a 50-50 decider in it too. You know, there's not a third person be like, but guys.
True.
So I imagine when it comes to making decisions, at least it's a quick conversation at times.
Yeah, I agree. I think that adding like another person in the mix definitely can complicate that process.
Course,
but I think like it's about like vision. Like, you know, it's just like you have to have like all the artists involved have to have like at least the same idea of like the
direction that they wanted to go.
Exactly. So if that's not matching, or if there's just someone who feels so strongly like that is not what I was picturing at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like, all right, you know.
Well, I mean, you both have been playing individually for a little while now. You both have been together as a group for a little while now. Like there is something that comes from time where like eventually you mature enough to be able to say, hey, I know we've been working on this for a while, but this just doesn't do it anymore. Yeah. And if I play this live, I will not be able to give it 110% like we can with everything, and it will hinder the track, which will hinder the performance.
Of course.
Right.
So that is, that's just a mature way to go about it at a certain point.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, well, we've both through just like our musical careers, I mean, we've both gone through our highs and our lows. And so
and we watched him grow up.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a moody teenager when we met. So like he
was terrible.
Dude, I had some moments where, like, looking back now, I'm like, you acted like an asshole, like, to myself.
Yeah.
Tanner broke my guitar cable
years ago. Ooh, now we're getting into the dirt.
Put me on trial.
We actually have Exhibit A. That guitar cable.
Yeah, exactly.
Tanner slid my amp really hard into the back of my truck one time.
Yep.
It's okay. We've gotten past it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think that overall, though, like, you know.
No, totally. And I mean, just from your dynamic in the room, like it's clear that you guys do not seem to butt heads too often on the things that we're talking about.
Yeah, no, not really.
Very often, especially not anymore.
Yeah, and I do agree with you. Like, part of it is like just like a maturity. It's like from the perspective of like you're looking at someone who's like mature in a project setting.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's what it takes. You know, it really does. I think that for any successful band, you know, like there has to be like that level of like dignity that you give to your, you know, fellow band member of like, hey, your feelings matter, your artistic vision matters, like, and you're a part of this process. So like, if you're not happy, we're not happy.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. But also like the direction of the band is to be a part of a whole.
Right.
So like keeping that in mind, I think is, you know, the other side of that coin.
Yeah. It's definitely a give and a take. Yeah. I mean, if anybody steps into any project thinking that they're going to rule it if it's not a solo thing.
Yeah, exactly. Unless it's like, you know, it's like Billy Idol where it's like, hey, it's literally my name.
Yeah, it's my name, baby. Yeah.
And then I guess kind of on the other side, when it comes to making the tracks, when it comes to, you know, picking out how you're going to go about it? Because you guys do have a very diverse sound. Do you have a direction in mind when you sit down to work on things, or are you just like, let's just see what sticks?
I think that, so currently, like we were joking about this a couple of weeks ago. Like, I think that this is more of like a discovery era for us. Like, you know, we've been officially a band for like less than a year, you know, so it's really more about just kind of discovering like the sound that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense for us. That we like. But, you know, we had, like I had said, the other songs that we wrote, you know, were kind of like separate from each other. But then like when we put them together, we're like, oh, there is like some sort of like cohesiveness to this. But I think that might just be because like I produced them. So maybe that's part of that factor. But like our most recent track is very like Southern rock. And then like the one we did before that kind of had like this Linkin Park kind of influence to it, you know? So yeah, I think that we just honestly
figuring it out.
Yeah. We just like to make music, and whatever kind of comes out of us is what it is.
We want to put out what we want to hear in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then when it comes to showtime, like you guys getting out there, you're doing your thing. Do you have any like pre-show rituals that you do?
I mean,
drink some beer.
Drink a couple beers. I jump around, you know, get loose a little bit. But you know, surprisingly enough, for as long as we've played together, we haven't come up with like a handshake or something like that to do before shows.
Yeah, not really. Yeah, we just kind of, I don't know, like we check in with each other. Like, are you ready? You feel good about this? Yeah, you know, just like kind of like a vibe check, energy check, and
you got that 2-minute warning. And it's like, all right, let's make sure, you know, we're good, and then get out there and it's time to scream.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I dig that.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to take a moment and talk about your music.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
So I jumped on ye old Spotify, and you guys, like you said, you haven't been doing it for over a year yet as far as this project goes.
Correct.
So all the music on there is from 2024.
Yeah. Yes.
So I checked it all out.
Well,
and, it's really, first of all, it's really cool. Especially, I started with the EP Through Hell and Back, and it's rad.
Thank you.
And then after checking everything else out, I really appreciate your sound. It's very melodic. It's very energized, and it is very diverse. And you guys, even on your site, describe yourself well. It is a very healthy mix of like rock, Western, reggae. I could definitely hear the hip hop elements in there as well. And the guitar riffs are really good.
Thanks,
Big fan, especially in Stand, which was just super heavy. That one I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, dude.
But I think what I liked about your music the most is that it feels like it was inspired by all the things I grew up with, but in a refreshing way. Like it didn't feel like you are like, oh, we're just going to do this. Like it did feel like you were like, this is where we came from, and this is how these lines all meet. And especially in your most recent track, Picture, which just came out last month. I guess by the time this comes, I think it'll still be last month in the realm of this episode coming out. And everything about that track just rips. The progression is strong. The guitar again sounds great. The vocals were just screaming through the whole thing. And then it just had this movement to it. It's a very good like driving song. You know what I mean? It's one that like if you want to put on because you're like, I know I gotta do something when I get there. That is the track. And what I thought was really cool is that track highlights the Western element of your sound. But what I like is that you really embody the term Western and not so much country.
Right.
Yes.
Like it does not, especially in the more modern context that country is perceived as now.
Right.
You do not cross the threshold to there.
Right.
But it does have the like gunslinger tombstone-esque twang all the way through it. So it just is, your guys' sound is really cool.
Thank you, man. Yeah.
You get it.
Yeah, you definitely get it.
Sure.
Yeah, you definitely get it. That is, I mean, essentially, like you're right. Like those are the vibes that we kind of grew up on, and like I think when it came to like the writing process for those songs, like Picture was a song that like I had to sat on for like 2 years, and I was just like, yeah, dude, I love the song, and I had recorded it and.
Yeah,
we were like, what are we gonna do with this one, man? And Tanner was like, we should just put it out. We should just put it out. And so I'm really proud and happy that we did, because the response that we got from it was like super positive, and definitely like affirmed that like what we're doing is worthwhile, and people have like said similar things like, dude, this is like my new driving song, you know? And I'm like, yes, that's
funny
perfect.
enough. The music video has a lot to do with driving.
It does.
And that comes out soon.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fun to upload.
Oh yeah, definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But I am curious to know, out of all the songs you guys have and you play out at the moment, what are some of your favorite ones to perform?
Gosh. I mean, all of them are, my favorite child.
Yes.
But I love doing Prehab. That's like the first good song I ever wrote.
Mm-hmm.
So that one has a special place in my heart. I used to not really think of myself as like a great singer, or honestly not even really a good singer. But it was like the first time that I was like, oh no, I could really do this.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we played Dutchman's Curse, man, the groove on that, I got a little octave pedal.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm playing bass on my acoustic guitar, hitting the little lead line, and then also walking down to that doom 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 doom, and it's just the groove on it really, really sits right with me. So those two are definitely a little stamp on my matchbook.
I agree. I like pretty much 100% agree. Like both of those songs, I think reverse order for me. I like Dutchman's Curse to perform that one the most. So just the energy that like we get like from the crowd with that one when we perform it live. It's like that one where like it's just the hat drop, the dude standing in the front throws his shit on the floor, and he's just like, no way that you guys just played that.
Dang it, boys.
And so that song it just rips, to play live. And then Prehab is just like really fun and groovy, and like when we perform it live, like just the harmonies come through really well.
Yeah.
And it gives us the ability to kind of, or I guess the opportunity really to kind of showcase that like, hey, what we do in the studio vocally, like we can also do in public. So it kind of, that definitely, I think, is probably the biggest reason why I love that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hell yeah. All right. Now, before we move on into the next part, this next question is going to be an individual answer for each of you, and is probably the densest question I've got in the interview. Ooh. But we've talked about, your experience with music, the actions, the reactions. But when it's just you and music one-on-one, what does music give back to each of you?
That's a great question. Oh, man. Tanner, you want to go?
Dude, it takes me on a journey. I can't, countless hours of, we've driven a lot, both separately and together, and and as everyone drives a lot in their life. Yeah. But that's honestly the only time I feel like my mind is clear, because one of my coworkers was like, I wonder what it's like to be in your mind, because I'm tapping out on my desk all day. I'm humming melodies. I've just got music snippets of things going on in my brain all day. So when I'm actually listening to a full composition, that's the only time that's really silent. And I really lately I've been able to enjoy picking apart different elements, listening, like critically listening to my favorite songs from childhood and even now, where I'm like, oh, that's a cool little background part that no one would really notice, but then I like to steal it and kind
of like the problem solving.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'll bring him, I'll be like, hey, check out this as a reference, and then he'll be like, oh, we can do that, and put some elements of other things that we love into what we're doing.
Oh yeah.
For me, it's just a piece of my soul, man. It's just like, I think of like a DNA strand or something like that. And, it's just one of those integrated pieces of myself, so it's, without it, like, I don't know, just like without music in my life, like I don't feel whole, so it just gives me like the, I guess the drive and motivation to just like really wake up, honestly, dude. Like that's mostly what I look forward to every day, is just like putting something on that like makes me remember something, or makes me feel a certain way. And I mean, you can get that from other things in your life, but like there's just like certain things, like certain songs you can listen to and you can just remember that one time you're like, oh, I was there listening to this, or this song reminds me of my mom, or you know, my granddad used to play this song on the guitar when I was 3 years old, and I remember standing there looking up at him, you know?
Yeah.
Just like that kind of thing, you know, it's just so integrated into my life.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you guys both for sharing that.
Yeah, sure.
Of course.
Now we're going to move on to some hypothetical questions.
Yeah.
And for these, sky's the limits. The questions are all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well. But this first one is pretty straightforward. If the band could share a bill with any currently performing act, who would you each want to share a bill with?
Oh my gosh.
I say Them Dirty Roses.
That's a good choice. They're a really cool act for what we're doing.
Yeah.
I love like the East Coast like punk reggae guys. Right now my favorite band of all time is called Bumpin' Uglies. Insane artists, but you know, that whole scene of guys out there, you know, you got Ballyhoo, you got Pacifier, and they all just have this, you know, grab you by the gonad sound, and I just love it. But closer, even Kyle Smith.
Kyle Smith would be a sick person to do a show with.
And I think he would
His
really,
band rips, dude.
yeah, man, they're so good.
Yeah.
And I think they would really mesh well with what we're doing.
Hell yeah.
100%, yeah.
Hell yeah. And then subsequently, who are some local people that you're aware of that you haven't gotten to connect with yet, but you would like to?
Oh, that's a good. Well, you know, we do have a show coming up with Sunset the Machine, and we've been wanting to play with them.
Yeah,
for a while, so
that's gonna be a fun one.
That'll be pretty cool. But there's a band actually from Vancouver called Drifter, who we really like, who we want to share a bill with, and we're just always like, it just seems like we're always like passing each other. You know what I mean?
No, I fully understand that one. Well, everybody, you know what to do. At them in the comments.
Yeah.
To make that happen.
Adam.
And then for this next one, like I said before, sky's the limits, and it's pretty literal in this sense. But if you could each perform anywhere in the world, and you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access or building stability or power, it was guaranteed the best lineup, guaranteed the best show, and it doesn't have to be a venue. It could be anywhere. Where would you want to perform?
Red Rocks.
Hell yeah.
Hands down.
That's a great option, dude.
That is another end game goal for me.
That was actually an end game goal for this show as well. Fun fact.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great spot.
Well,
like
Tony took Madison Square Garden, so I had to pick a different one.
that was gonna be my number 2.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Mesa Amphitheater in Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, that's such a cool spot
I just
too.
not that it's like, you know, some crazy like, you know, renowned venue or anything, but it's like I've seen more shows there than anywhere else, and so just like being able to be on that stage and just like share that like moment with like some of the heroes that I've had, you know, over the years, I think that would be really meaningful.
No, I definitely dig that. And then for this next one, have fun with this. This I try not to do too many silly things, but this is a silly question.
I like silly.
If the band's music could be the soundtrack to any movie, what movie would you pick?
Oh yeah, this is a good question.
Any movie? Oh my gosh, Mad Max.
Yeah,
there's a lot of driving in Mad Max.
A lot of driving, a lot of sand, a lot of desert environment.
Mel Gibson Mad Max or Tom Hardy Mad Max?
Oh. I'm not picky. I like them both. You know,
I'm going with Tom Hardy Mad Max just because the original Mad Max is slow.
The
second one's really good.
I'm going to disappoint some people, but I haven't seen the original Mad Maxes.
You're not missing. Well, the second one's really good. You should watch that. This is the first one. No one cares.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
All right. We're gonna lock in on that one.
Yeah, I like that. Actually, you know what? Let me think. It's another driving movie. It's called Drive, and it's
the Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling in it.
That's such a good movie.
Yeah.
Dude.
Okay.
I love
Hell
that.
Yeah. There's actually there's a song on that like has, it doesn't sound anything like we do, but like that song like convinced me for a moment. I was like, I want to make electronic music.
Oh yeah.
It's called A Real Human Being by a band called College.
Nice.
You remember that song? I think it's like
little bit.
It's like the title track of movie, but
Dude,
yeah, that movie would be sick to have our music dubbed over. I think it would work really well.
that movie was also one of those things that like there's the elevator scene when he steps out of the elevator had my jaw on the floor because I think it was him and the girl that love interest.
Eva Mendes, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. I need to watch it again. So good.
They're married now.
Huh?
Proud of him.
Well, there you go. I'm proud of you, bud.
Small world. Oh yeah. All right. And then to wrap up the hypothetical questions, if you could each add an abstract instrument into the band, so no drums, no bass, no keyboard, but like get weird with it, what would you each add?
As like a regular or as just like a one-off?
Let's go ahead and go regular.
Okay.
What would be a good strange, and like go past like saxophone and things like that. Really dig into the bag for this one.
Ooh, maybe a melodiphone. What's that thing called? The little keyboard with the on it?
Melodica.
A melodica.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A melodica would be a cool
That is a
one.
cool sound.
Or maybe like a didgeridoo would be super sick.
We put a sample on one of our tracks of a clavinet, and if we could put that on every song, bro.
See, that you can get with most modern keyboards.
You can.
That is true.
So,
Okay,
so like I said,
you know what? You're right. You're right.
didgeridoo is definitely on the weirder
Didgeridoo
side.
is pretty good.
But that's still skating the line. Let's see if we can pull up one more. Let's get weird with it.
What do you think, Tanner?
Tuba.
A tuba?
Fucking yeah, man. Like the big old guy.
Yeah. Having like well, I guess a full horn section isn't that peculiar, but yes, I've only seen one band with a tuba.
Yeah, and they don't do that anymore, and that makes me sad.
They don't do that anymore.
It's so good when they did it though. Crazy.
Yeah, I think maybe even what's that thing that Les Claypool plays sometimes? It's like
bass guitar.
It's a shut up. You do that like 12 or 15 more times and I quit. It's like a one string bass that you play with a stick.
Oh,
It has a pull up here, and so you can change the tonality of the string, but you can you hit it, you beat it with the stick.
Oh, you know what? That makes me want to change my answer. You know the shovel that Rob Scallon made.
Yeah.
Okay.
The gent stick. Yeah.
there we go. Now we're getting to the weird ones.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I would have accepted the wash tub bass.
Wash tub was
Where it's just the string with the pole, and you just that would have been a weird one.
the spoon lady.
Ooh, that is a good one. I can't believe nobody's ever said that.
We saw a guy play a
Spoon
saw.
We did see the garage bar here in town. This guy was there. He was playing the saw with the bow. I was like, what is he playing? And it was really good. And it was just him. It was just him. I was blown away.
So any saw players want to hit us up,
we'll get you on a track.
Yeah.
We'll get you on a track, baby.
Hell yeah. All right, with that being said, though, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up.
Yeah.
What can we look forward to between, let's say, now and June?
New EP.
New EP coming out. Yep. We got a single and a new EP coming out, actually.
Yeah, the single's going to kind of wrap up all of the stuff that we've done separately early on in our stuff. And this cool new EP is going to kind of basically start a new era for us. It's very, aggressive drums, kind of heavy pop punk inspiration because we love our friends in Nowhere Fast and Flying Whammy.
Shout out Nowhere Fast.
Dude, shout out the Crisis Averted scene. Those guys are family to us at this point. So yeah, we kind of made this.
EP is dedicated to them.
Yeah, we made this because they welcomed us with open arms, and we love being with them. We just go to their shows, because there's so much fun to be around.
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, well, definitely looking forward to all of that.
Yeah.
And music video soon as well.
Yeah, music video.
Yeah.
All right. When does the music video come out?
I think
It's already come out, but
we were thinking this week, but I think next week. We were both busy.
Gotcha. Okay, so it'll come out around pretty much the same time as this does.
Probably.
Yeah. Hell yeah. All right. And then for this next one, go ahead and look straight at your camera. Tell everybody how they can find you.
You could find the Desert Sons at the Desert Sons Music on Facebook, Instagram, Threads. You can also find us on our website, thedesertsonsmusic.com. And I think that's pretty much it for our socials.
Yeah, I mean, you can find us separately. I'm at Towner Tan on Instagram. He's at Marshall Matters. So, yeah, if you want to come see what we're doing separately as well, it's not much different from the band page. So,
yeah. And come find us at the Shanghai Tunnel Bar on February 8th. We're playing with Sunset the Machine and Stop.
exciting. We're looking
See you
forward to
there.
that.
Hell yeah. Also, shout out to Shanghai Tunnel Bar one time. They were where we did the very first 2 showcases.
Oh, sweet.
Last year, like when we were first getting it off the ground, they were real cool about it.
They're awesome, dude. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
that venue.
And they just built out a new stage,
I've heard.
and they changed up their sound.
I'm looking forward to it.
You guys will have to let me know. If I can't make it to your show, you're going to have to let me know how it ended up being, because I'm really curious to know.
Absolutely.
100%, yeah.
Hell yeah. All right. Now, any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you would like to put on while you're on here?
Happy birthday, Mom. Today's her birthday. So.
Oh, hell yeah.
Happy birthday.
Well, it would have been last week by the time this comes out, but still, in real time, happy birthday.
Yeah,
Mom.
exactly.
Shout out to Lexi from Crisis Averted again for booking that show for us. We love you and
Absolutely.
appreciate you very much.
Hell yeah. All right. Now, with that being said, I do have one last question to go. But before we do, I'm going to steal the camera for just a second. As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary, Raw Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your guys' interpretation. You can answer in whatever order you want, however you want to. But what is an album you each feel is more on the obscure side? A bit of a deep cut. It's one you think not a lot of people would know, but it's one you think everybody should know.
My brother in Christ. Has anyone ever
If you
told
give
you?
me a Beartooth album,
I wasn't going to say anything, but I was getting ready for it.
No, dude. This band has like 700-ish monthly listeners on Spotify. They
I know
broke
where you're
up
going.
in 2015.
Stole it.
There, because it's my
Stole
holy
it.
grail album. I'll Be Fine by the Sheds is the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life. It is front to back gold. It is such a unique sound, and it blows my mind that 1, nobody's copied it, and 2, nobody's heard of it.
700 people apparently have.
Yeah,
that's it.
consistently 700
That's it.
people. So yeah, it's I go back to it. Once a month.
It's amazing.
It's so good.
It's an amazing album.
Hell yeah.
I agree. Jordan Fletcher's latest album. Dude, if you have, what's the name of his album, Tanner?
1995, I believe. Yeah.
Wait, shout out Jordan.
Shout out Jordan.
Jordan, man.
It is a great album.
Every person who I know who loves hip hop, I've shown this album to, and they bump it, and they come back to me, and they're like, "Dude, no freaking way." I'm like, "Yeah."
I have a fun story to tell you about that album off camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll can't share it here, but you will appreciate this.
For sure.
All right, but with that being said, I mean, those are both great recs. Thank you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Thanks
for having
Jimmy.
us.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. And this has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy,
We're the
We're the
Desert Sons.
and we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap. This is not a podcast. This is a show.
Keep jamming.